This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. Very excited to be speaking with Gabriel LaBelle about Saturday Night. How are you, Gabriel?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. When you think, or I guess before you knew about this film, when you thought about Saturday Night Live, who did you picture right away?
Oh man, I guess just the entity that it is. I mean, all my favorite comedians and actors and all my favorite movies, the people who made them came from SNL, and I was very aware of that. And I grew up on it, and I've been such a huge fan of it, and still am. So, I mean, it just felt like this kind of colossal, to hear the origin story of this, it's kind of like I like to compare it to it's like Greek mythology, and this is like Mount Olympus of comedy.
Were you aware of Lorne Michaels, who he was, what he looked like, how he spoke?
Not so much. I knew of him, but not near to the amount that I that I do now.
How did you go about gaining more knowledge? Did you interact a lot with him? Did you watch a lot of video, etc.?
No, there was not. I Jason advised us not to talk to the people we were playing, and so I didn't. But I there were tons of there's a lot of literature. There's like four solid books about the inception of the show, um, how it got made, who met who when, and how Lorne came about doing it. So most of the backstory into the character to give context to the script that they wrote came from these books. And there was footage. There were old interviews of him. I Lorne used to have a radio show on the CBC. I listened to that. Him and Hart Pomerantz had their own variety show before SNL that was kind of like a massive inception to SNL, and that gave me a lot of inspiration and hearing how he sounded, but kind of like how certain intonations of his voice, his accent. There are a lot of Edie Baskin, man, has um, so many photos from that time. She just took, she was a photographer, and just kind of like how he stood, how his posture was, how certain clothes fit him. And that was like plenty, and that was a lot of fun.
You want to work to really mimic the way he actually sounded and moved, or you felt like this was not an entirely true take on him?
I mean, that's not what the movie's about, right? It's not, this isn't Bohemian Rhapsody. And I wasn't, that wasn't really the focus. The focus was, telling the story of a young artist trying to make something completely different that nobody believes in. And that was the main goal. And then I think I did care about the physicality of it and his voice, but it wasn't, Jason didn't want me to change too much of myself. He would remind me to keep it a little more, level. Like I would send him a voice note of like, trying to mimic exactly Lauren's voice at the time, and I'd be feeling really good about it. And I'd send it off to him, and Jason would be like, "No, we don't need that. Like, just focus on the accent and the certain cadence in certain moments. But like, I don't even care if you do." And I think I just felt like if I did it enough so that I don't want it to be the first thing that people notice about the movie, but if people who knew Lorne or who know him now saw it, then, then they might feel like they're watching him. And that was important to me.
Are you allowed to talk to him now, and have you done so?
I haven't talked to him since I mean he was very gracious and invited us to SNL to watch when Josh Brolin hosted in March, because that was right before we started shooting. But other than that, no, I haven't spoken to him.
Have you heard his feelings on the film and your performance?
I don't think he's seen it. I think I've heard that he wants to get this 50th season out of the way and then give himself room to be nostalgic. I mean, they gotta, stay focused. So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it, so I don't know why, or if he hasn't, just hasn't told anybody that he has. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about Jason. What were you familiar with from his work, and how did that live up to the expectations of working with him?
Oh man, I mean, I knew of Juno, of Tully, of Young Adult, of Thank You for Smoking. Um, I knew a handful of his work, but I didn't have a name or face to put to his work. So when I met him in London, he came to the UK premiere of The Fablemans, and I met him, with Stephen, and he was very nice. And he was with his girlfriend who had a ET tattoo, and she was showing that to Stephen, and we were all talking and laughing. And then after a couple minutes, Stephen and I kept circulating, and I was like, oh, who was that? And Steven was like, oh, he's an amazing director, and kind of named his films. And I was like, oh my God, I love those things. But it was just, I don't know why I just never had like a identity to his work. And then it was like, oh my God, damn, I wish I knew that when I was talking to him. But then, um, but then like the next day, I hear that he wants to get lunch, and I was like, I would fucking love to. And yeah, he told me we just kind of got to know each other. He told me about his next film. And I'm like, oh my God. But he just said like, yeah, I'm just trying to meet young actors, get a feel of who to cast. And he played it cool, I played it cool.
Well, it really does have an impressive filmography, but thinking about those, this film really isn't. Maybe it's like Thank You for Smoking more than anything. It's a lot more, I think, chaotic, but it's really. I don't know that you would automatically match this with his filmography just from knowing what he had done.
I say tonally, maybe in the workplace, kind of like continuous takes, like chaos, tons of overlap in speaking, considered to the front runner. But no, it really does feel like a completely separate film, and I'm so excited and happy for him. Just for that he's every film he makes is so different, and it looks different. And this one more than everything because they shot on 16 millimeter. Like that's insane.
In a film with an ensemble this large, I would usually ask, who didn't you get to work with? But I feel like Lorne is the one person who gets to really interact with just about everybody.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single actor I didn't I wasn't in a scene with.
Is that a big burden? Like, do you like that, or is that a little bit
No,
intense and
I
you'd
love
rather?
that. I love that, and that's what was so exciting about this character, and that was so um fulfilling about doing the research into Lorne and how he met all these people and how he introduced them to the show and invited them on, and because you get to build a beautiful web of relationships and attitudes towards every single character. So one scene was never the same, even though like I'm constantly moving through things and reacting to everything, like every scene, every character I could have like just a different attitude, different relationship. And that's just so much to do as an actor. And that was really, really fun. And getting to know the cast too was awesome. Like I love everyone, and everyone was championing each other and just each other's biggest fans, and everyone's so funny and kind that it was really fun.
I assume as you've been screening the film at festivals and in theaters, you've gotten a lot of reactions from diehard Saturday Night Live fans, etc. Has anything really surprised you about what people have said?
Um, I think I I don't know about I haven't heard too many of like the diehard fans, but nothing comes to mind, at least when I think about it. But the takeaways that mean the most to me, I think, are from Rosie Schuster and Lorraine Newman. Rosie was at the Toronto Film Festival premiere, and I got to speak with her at the after party, and oh my God, I know why Lauren fell in love with her. Like she's awesome, and she was just really, really kind and really gracious, and just said the only what you could hope to hear as a filmmaker, as an actor, especially because she knew Lauren the best at that time. But she just said that Jason nailed how it felt to be there, and I mean, how amazing is that you have a filmmaker who does the right research, who can capture exactly what it felt like to be somewhere 50 years ago in a 90-minute span. And Lorraine said the exact same thing, and she was lovely as well. And so those are the only real like reviews or takeaways that I kind of sit with.
Well, after the Fablemans and this, you've really established yourself as, someone portraying the much younger versions of very successful, 70-year-old men. Do you feel like this is something you want to pursue? Or do you have your sights on other figureheads, or you want to do,
I mean, I don't
something?
know how many other people like this like there are, I don't know how many other people like that they're making movies of. Um, but I mean, it's been great. I mean, but obviously I'd love to play as many different characters and roles as I possibly can. So that um, sorry, I gotta mute my sound. I'm getting texts. But I would love to play as many different characters as I possibly can. And be different and look different. And I'd love to do more physical stuff as well. There's just so much more to do that I think it would be very limiting on me to, only do those things.
Do you have anything else lined up that you can talk about?
Yeah, in January, I'm going to be making a film with John Baird and Chloe Moretz, Isabella Merced. We're shooting in New Jersey, and it's about Heather Morgan and Ilya Lichtenstein, who were just sentenced to prison this month. But big crypto scam. They were in a relationship. It'll be a really fun story.
You might look more like this than, the other characters you played in the 1970s.
uh, yeah, I don't know. We're gonna change some stuff up for that guy too, which I'm excited for.
Great. Well, this is Awards Buzz, so I'm always curious the people who I'm talking to. What have you seen recently? Is there a film or performance that's really sticking with you as particularly awards worthy?
Oh my God, Lily Rose Depp in Nosferatu. I saw that just the other day, and she blew me away. I was so impressed by her. I mean, so many things. The only things I haven't seen yet are Amelia Perez here, the Angelina Jolie film. I haven't seen The Nickel Boys, or well, I don't think that's out yet. Um, or The Brutalist. Um, but everything that's out, I've seen. Except for Gladiator or Wicked. Still have to see those. But everything else, I mean, all my friends and I do are go see movies. So I've been really grinding and really been so impressed with everything I've seen. And everyone's talking about the awards films, but I mean, I gotta say that like Heretic um and My Old Ass, I loved. Those were so much fun. The acting is obviously like I'm a fan of Chloe East. She's amazing. Hugh Grant's amazing. But also like Macy Stella and Percy White in My Old Ass. Like those guys, I'm so proud. I'm so excited for, all these young actors doing really, really awesome stuff. I just can't. It's really inspiring. And like, you know, I don't know. It's a good time to be an actor these days.
And you have apparently a very impressive watch list. All those movies you haven't seen. It's going to be a busy but exciting next couple weeks for you.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, I wish you happy watching and thank you so much. Best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much. This is great. Have a good one.